MRP input. Authorized MPS. The authorized MPS is a statement of what and when your company expects build. MPS orders by projected available quantity. When we do not have enough inventory to satisfy the forecast for a particular period, we need an MPS order. The quantity of the replenishment order is based on the lot sizing rule used. Inventory records to determine whether enough inventory is available or whether a replenishment order is needed. The MRP system checks the inventory records of all the items listed. The projected available. The projected available quantity is a period-by-period projection of how inventory should be available. The projected available quantity equals the beginning inventory, less any replenishment order due, less the gross requirements for the schedule to arrive, less our gross requirements of 100 units in period 4. Thus, a projected available of the end of the period 4 is to 100, as shown as in the table. The beginning inventory for any time period is equal to the projected available quantity at the end of the previous period. While the planned orders result when we do not have enough inventory to cover the gross requirements for a period. For example, unless we plan an order to arrive in period 4, we will be short 100 CD cabinets. When we need a replenishment order, we calculate the quantity by the lot size rule and we calculate the timing by the lead time. For example, we need an order to arrive in period 4. The lot size rule L4L dictates that we order just enough to cover our requirement or 100 units, and the lead time of 1 week means that we must place the order 1 week before we need it. So we have a planned order of 100 units in period 3. Bills of material. A bill of materials lists the sub-assemblies, intermediate assemblies, component parts, raw materials, and quantities of each needed to produce one final product. It is exactly like a recipe for baking a cake. As we would follow the recipe for the cake, the manufacturer is expected to follow the BOM or a bill of material precisely. No extra parts are added. No substitutions are made without appropriate paperwork. Companies that use MRP system must have a disciplined workforce that uses only the material authorized by the BOM. The BOMs used as inputs to the MRP system are the indexed bills of materials. And a product structure tree. A product structure tree visually represents the BOM for a product. Although product trees are seldom used in the workplace for our purposes, they make it easier to explain the MRP process. In the figure, a product structure tree for the CD cabinet with the name of the item, the usage quantity per parent item, and the replenishment lead time. At the top of the product structure tree is the end item. The product sold to the customer, in this case, the end item is a CD cabinet, but the end item could also be a repair part such as decorative hinges or door handles. In the MRP system, a parent item is any end item made from one or more components. In our example, the CD cabinet is made from these components: a cabinet top, a cabinet bottom, a cabinet door, cabinet left side, cabinet right side, and 4 items, the parent and its components, the children. And we show each item's parents or children in each of the inventory records. In the table that shows that updated inventory records for the CD cabinet with this additional information. Since the CD cabinet is in the end item, it has no parents, and the immediate component of the CD cabinet are its children. When your company has inventory on hand, the lead time can be less than the cumulative lead time. Suppose all the feet were already in inventory. The lead time of the CD cabinet is reduced to 8 weeks. The next long path through the product structure tree, since the fit to the cabinet bottom to CD cabinet path would only need 5 weeks now, since the feet are already in stock. Thus, having inventory on hand allows you to respond more quickly because you can reduce lead items. A company uses a rough shortcut planning technique to determine whether a proposed MPS is feasible. In Supplement D, we see how to evaluate the feasibility of a proposed MPS with capacity planning using overall planning factors, or CPOPF. RASCOP capacity planning technique is data from the proposed MPS. Capacity requirements planning or CRP uses the data from MRP. We calculate workloads for critical work centers based on open shop orders and planned shop orders. Work begins on open shop orders while planned shop orders are scheduled to be done. We translate these orders into hours of work by work center and by the time period. Here is the solution. We calculate the total item time by running the setup time and the total runtime for the item. Total item times equals setup time plus quantity times runtime per unit. We setup time is include each other. The machine is prepared to produce the desired quantity for an item. We calculate the total runtime by multiplying the quantity to be produced by the runtime per unit. In our example, for item DN100, we plan to produce 250 units with each unit needing 0.20 hour of runtime. The total runtime is 50 per hour or 250 units times 0.20 hour per unit. The total workload placed on the work center by the item DN100 in 53 hours, 3 hours to set up the machine, and 50 hours to run the quantity. We make similar calculation for each of the other items. When we have calculated the workloads, we compare them to the available capacity for the work center in those type of periods. We calculate available capacity discussed in Chapter 9 by multiplying the number of machines available times number of shifts used times number of hours per shift times number days of per week times usage times efficiency. So, available capacity is equal to number of machines available multiplied by the number of shifts used multiplied by the number of hours per shift multiplied by number of days per week and multiplied by utilization and multiplied by the efficiency. In our case, we have 4 machines and we have 2 10-hour shifts for 5 days per week. So our usage is 85% and our efficiency is 95%. And available capacity is equal to 4 machines multiplied by 2 shifts multiplied by 10 hours per shift multiplied by 5 days per week multiplied by number of days per week multiplied by the 0.85 utilization and multiplied by 0.95 efficiency. The available capacity per week is 323 standard hours. Shows the workload compared the available capacity. If the available capacity is not adequate, the company has a number of questions. The easiest and quickest ways to increase available capacity may be to authorize overtime at the work center. Another approach is to reduce the capacity needed by doing some of the work at an alternative work center. If the gap between available and needed capacity is significant, the company can hire a subcontractor for temporary extra capacity. MRP reports are used by the production and inventory planners to 1. Generate purchasing registration and 2. Develop schedules of different activities to be done on the manufacturing floor. Techniques for sequencing activities are discussed in Chapter 15. The authorized MPS, the Bill of Material or BOM file, and the inventory records are inputs to the MRP system. It is critical that MPS be feasible and that the BOM file and the inventory records be accurate. This implies that the time standards are valid and that cycle counting is used to maintain inventory records accuracy. If not, material is not ordered at the appropriate time in the right quantity. The master scheduler is responsible for the feasibility of the MPS, and the inventory planners are often held accountable for the accuracy of the inventory records. Even though rough cut capacity planning or RCCP using MPS data was done to check for feasibility, it is still important to do capacity requirement planning CRP for any critical work centers or battle racks or potential battle needs. CRP cooperates at a greater level of detail than does RCCP, using information generated by the MRP system. Production planners do this to make sure the detailed schedule of production is feasible. Resource planning is designed to ensure that the right material in the right quantities are available at the right time, and to ensure that the right job is being done by the right equipment. Resource planning across the organization. Since MRP determines the quantity and timing of materials needed, it affects several functional areas in the company. Let's first look at how each functional area is affected by MRP and then consider the effects of ERP. Accounting calculates future material commitments based on MRP output. Accounting then develops cash flow budgets and the inventory investments to support the current MPS. With a common database, accounting should be able to determine the exact status of outstanding orders, including cost, quantity, and delivery date. Since there is a common database, discrepancies between supplier and manufacturer should be reduced. Marketing. Marketing is primarily concerned with the MPS, which identifies when finished goods will be completed. MRP reveals potential material shortages that directly affect marketing since the shortages may delay product completion. Marketing can also use MRP for allocating scarce material to maximize customer service. One major advantage of ERP is that marketing can track actual sales at the final product level using POS to determine what actions, if any, need to be taken to maximize customer service. An information system maintains MRP, which is large database that includes the BOM. The inventory recent and the MPS minimizing errors in the database is essential to producing useful reports. ERP will help IS by using a single integrated database for both internal and external members of the supply chain. Purchasing uses the plant orders generated by MRP to evaluate the feasibility of long-term or blanket contracts and to determine delivery needs. The lead times that are input into MRP often come directly from purchasing. ERP will facilitate supplier manage inventory approaches and reduces transaction of for cost for purchasing. Manufacturing uses the original generated by MRP to develop daily manufacturing schedules. MRP ensures that the right materials in the right quantity are available to support the MPS manufacturing. Also uses MRP to allocate scarce material. ERP will provide manufacturing with improved insight into actual customer demand. It should increase the probability the manufacturing is working on products actually needed to satisfy customer demands. In most manufacturing operations, production or inventory control planners are responsible for working with MRP. Planners are typically responsible for certain inventory items, including end items, sub-assemblies, and components. Planners check the MRP output for action notices related to the items for which they are responsible. Planning, and planners are scheduled, rescheduled, and expedite materials to support the MPS. A planning position is often an entry-level job in the material field. As companies continue to move toward ERP, other functionaries areas will work from a central database. The database gives all areas in the company access to the same information simultaneously and improves organizational effectiveness.